Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy RB3 for First Cut, and yeah, I am here right before we go to Vegas for CinemaCon to give y'all a review for A24's Problemista, starring Julio Torres and actually directed by Julio Torres as well. You know, we the A24 Avengers over here on First Cut, so we got to talk about the new A24 film that is co-starring Tilda Swinton, the RZA. You know, if you saw my interview with RZA way back on Geeks of Color, you could check that out too. So I'm a big fan of the cast of this movie. I really didn't know too much about Julio Torres before watching this movie. If I'm not mistaken, Julio was a writer on Saturday Night Live and did a few other things in the comedy world. And you could really see those comedic chops shine throughout this movie. This movie is unbelievably hilarious. The story is basically about a young aspiring toy designer from El Salvador. He's an immigrant, so he needs a job to stay in the United States. And his dream job is actually working, I believe it's for Mattel or Hasbro. It's one of those two big companies. And he keeps applying for these jobs, applying for these internships and not hearing anything back. But the time is ticking because he needs the work visa to stay in the United States. You know, he's really working and grinding to get that hard deserved job. Because if you see the pitches and things that the toys that he's designing in his mind, Alejandro is a brilliant toy designer. Like, he designs like this Cabbage Patch thing that's like looking at cell phones. And then, you know, spoiler into the movie, ends up coming back full circle with some of those toy designs. And you see how much of a brilliant mind it is and how much of a shame it is that, you know, Alejandro is not able to find employment. And it is so relatable to the real creative struggle that's out there right now, y'all. Like, you don't understand how, when I'm watching this film about how hard it is to get a job at that high level position, like, I'm relating to that full stop. And this is only like the first 5, 10, 15 minutes. So then that already got me hooked with that. And then we introduced Tilda Swinton's character. Her name is Elizabeth, and she is the wife of a deceased artist, Bobby, who's played by the RZA. He recently died, or I guess like froze himself to death, because you know how they do like Walt Disney, like they froze his head and they like hid it under Disneyland or whatever. It's like that kind of thing. He believes if he could go into the future with the frozen body and they'll eventually figure out how to unfreeze him. So he signs up for this program, and that's actually where Alejandro works. It's so funny, I keep calling Alejandro Julio because it feels so embodied by not only the actor, but by the expressionism in the character itself. Like, it feels like this movie is just straight out of like the mind of like this wacky, over-the-top toy designer. And you see that all over the tone. You see that through the wackiness of Tilda Swinton's character. Now, Elizabeth hires Alejandro to be her assistant in order to help put together an art gallery or art show of Bobby's late works. And like I said, he's a painter, but he's known for painting eggs, like literally just eggs, like various, like I think there's like 12 eggs or something like that, a dozen eggs. It's like a case of eggs basically. But they're all like these beautifully painted eggs. And then, you think it's kind of silly, like why would people, want to obsess over these eggs, or, why would Elizabeth care so much about finding these eggs, or why would this dude commit his whole life to painting eggs? And it kind of dives into that question in a comedic, heartfelt way. But then it's also one of those things like, I always go back to the La La Land example when John Legend does that stupid song. It's not stupid. It's actually a dope song. But in the context of the movie, we're not supposed to like it because it's, not jazz, or it's not like, what Ryan Gosling wants to do. It's like a pop song. But in all reality, that's a good song in and of itself. In all reality, when they're making fun of, these egg paintings in this movie, they're actually kind of good paintings. Like, they're actually really funny, good paintings. So I actually think, they're worthily, these eggs would be worth a collection. Like, I would go pay to see a collection of these eggs. Most importantly, I think the egg painting is like a perfect analogy for this movie of itself. It's like a very simple movie, a very simple story with a very, not simple conflict, but very relatable, humble conflict told in an expressionistic, beautifully crafted, artful way that you just wouldn't anticipate, that you just wouldn't expect. Tilda Swinton's character, Elizabeth, is the most crazy, wacko, like Karen. I guess Karen is the right word. I heard some people describe it as Karen. I would kind of describe it as more like if you've ever been in an entertainment space and you just know those zany people who maybe took too much speed in one time in their life, or just maybe just like talk, they just have an over eccentricality to them, or they're just hyper anxious or super OCD and just like will keep it rolling and rolling and rolling, and the problems end up dissolving into bigger problems as they keep talking about it. Like, that's basically who her character is. She is so, and it's presented in the funniest way imaginable. Like I feel like I was the only one in my theater just cracking up, rolling throughout these scenes because it was just genuinely funny. I would love to see Tilda Swinton go into that conversation for Best Supporting Actress for this movie. I would love to see this movie in all kinds of Oscar conversations. I would love to see it be in that conversation. I know sometimes, award shows don't really look at these like super small indie films and recognize them in the same way, especially comedies. But this is hyper expressionism. This is greatly, beautifully directed. I wish it could get recognition in all categories, but especially for Tilda Swinton's character as of Elizabeth. And also, of course, for the amazing screenplay that Julio Torres conceives in the making of this movie. The story is just pitch perfect all the way through, and especially for the amazing script by Julio Torres. I mean, it balances so much levity, comedy, but also experimentalism and expressionism. And it does a beautiful balance of showing but not telling, while also what it is telling is very funny, very out there, very over the top. You just look at the way Alejandro walks, like the way he just does this little shuffle through the scenes. It's just brilliant all the way around. It's just a beautiful, heartfelt, expressionistic. I keep using expressionistic because you feel every single emotion, every single comedic beat through the camera movements, through the lighting, through the composition, just every means possible, and through the performances as well. Again, like I said, the way Julio and Alejandro kind of blend together, it is his film. It is based on his story, and you feel that. You feel that this is one of those kind of movies that has been kind of in somebody's heart for a long, long time. It also takes some routes that, are kind of Charlie Kaufman-esque. But then again, it really goes back to a real heartfelt message at the end where there's, it kind of talks about, how his mother inspired a lot of his designs and how his mother actually was a brilliant designer herself, but she didn't express it in the way, that she wanted to express it. So it's just a brilliant film all the way around. Tilda Swinton was absolutely hilarious. The RZA was funny, but also had a really genuine role in itself. Like as a conventional comedy, this movie works, but as a genuine art piece, as a genuine expression of the form of cinema, this is also one of the top, films that you could see up there. So I personally think this is one of my favorite movies of the year. It might be, maybe one of my top 2 or 3. Honestly, I can't really think of too many movies that I like more than Problemista so far this year. Again, it's early in the year. It's only April. But this movie was absolutely phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend you checking out Problemista if it's still in the theater near you. Again, I enjoy cinema that is funny, that is fresh, that is, fluent and out there. And this is just right up my alley, man. So oh, my bad, y'all. I didn't have my light on the whole time. Nobody tell me I have my light on. We still first cut here, y'all. And I'm here to report that Problemista is a great movie. It's honestly my favorite movie so far this year. If it's still playing in the theater near you, I highly recommend checking it out. Again, I know it's April. It's a limited release. It's small. It's A24. There's a lot of great A24 movies that's come out this year. Love Lies Bleeding. All these other amazing films. Civil War is coming out later this month. But y'all, check out Problemista if y'all haven't already. And this is your boy RB3. We're gonna have more reviews coming out soon. We're gonna be also having so much coverage coming up at CinemaCon in Las Vegas, so tune into that. I am so looking forward to that. Me, Dorian, Sabrina, we're gonna ham it up out there, y'all. And also, me and Andres got an old review of Origin that I totally forgot I didn't have edited yet, but we're going to be putting that out pretty soon too. So for that, y'all, make sure I subscribe to First Cut. Check out our content. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram at First Cut TMO, and Twitter as well. And follow me at Twitter, Instagram at Director RB3. And for First Cut, we peacing out, y'all. Peace.
It's either me or you. It's either me or you. You do the math.